Hello. Thank you for having
Hi.
me.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, this is really exciting for me. I truly thought they were, I'm a sophomore year journalism student, and I had assumed the comedy club was gonna give me my brother's he does stand up and he just graduated college. So I had assumed they'd give me like some graduate student who's just starting, in the comedy field. And damn, when I saw that they gave me you, I was like, this is insane. You're like incredible. You're hilarious. I'm like super excited about this. I was just excited to talk
Oh,
to
oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Anna. I'm glad that this worked out. Who's your brother?
you. His name is Jacob Rosansky.
Okay. I don't
He
know if
just
I've met him.
yeah, he just started. He's based in San Diego right now, but
Okay.
he's hilarious. He's hilarious. But no, yeah.
Is that where y'all from? Are you from San Diego?
Yeah. I'm from, do you know where Carlsbad is?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm from Carlsbad area. And then I came out here and was super excited to see that Fort Collins just opened up a comedy club. I'm
Yeah.
that's so it's so exciting. I'm gonna go to a show next weekend, which is gonna be really nice. Just to make sure, are you cool with me recording this?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
Very much so.
Awesome. How have you been? How's your week been?
Good. I got back from Key West, Florida yesterday. I was down there for about 11 days.
Oh,
Yeah, my wife got the vaccine, so she had a week off of work. She's a first year doctor at Poudre Valley Hospital.
oh yeah.
So it's just good to get her like out and on the water and relaxing.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah,
Sounds like a great time.
it was. It was much needed. I did the comedy club down there.
Oh, you did a show down there?
Yeah, I had COVID in December, so like I'm still on that 90-day antibody situation.
Right,
So I'm
right.
cashing in on it.
No, yeah, as you should. I had it back in November. Or
Okay,
actually
so
maybe
you still
no,
got some time.
no, actually not. Oh yeah, it was the very beginning of November, but I think my immunity's gone.
Okay.
But I don't know. I feel just like the immunity lasts way longer than the 90 days. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just young and I think I'm invincible, but I don't know. I not that I'm going out or anything. I just for some reason feel like it has to be more. It's not like it just caps at 90. You know what I mean?
I'm
Like
with you, sister. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
like
Write it
90,
out. Do what you can.
right? Like if there's not like it's like it expires after 90 days.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. Well, should we get into it?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. All right. So I guess I just kind of want to know about you. I'm pretty curious to know like what kind of moments, like what were some important moments in your life that kind of sent you down the path to comedy? I did read that you started in 2006, right? Professionally
Yeah.
or
Hmm.
and that was in Denver, right?
Right. Yeah. So I grew up in Elizabeth, Colorado, like the Eastern Plains of Colorado. And
Okay.
then I started doing improv in 2005. My graduation present from my mom was improv classes at the Bovine Metropolis Theater in Denver.
Oh, that's sweet.
And I went to school at Metro State, did not graduate. But I think the most important moments for why the movie Ghostbusters was a big deal. Chris Farley was a big deal. Uh, what else? The movies that Christopher Guest directed, like Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman, those were big for me. And I wanted to be like an improviser, sketch comedian. I never thought I'd do stand up. And then
Okay.
I started doing improv, and was like on the house team when I was 19 at the Bovine. And I don't know. It's just that you're performing with people. I didn't like being hamstrung by having to perform with other people, I guess.
Okay.
Because for better or for worse, you're only as funny as like the best improviser on your improv team. And I liked the lone wolf. Cause it's like football compared to wrestling. I liked being alone in there. And if I won, I won, and if I lost, I lost. But I had no one else to blame but me.
Okay. Okay. Um, that's pretty cool. I'm so you said something about how you really want to do improv. I guess I'm kind of wondering what does writing kind of look like to you? Do you write on stage or are you pretty meticulous about your jokes?
It's a great question. I write on stage. I can't write a joke to save my life. I can't sit down and write with a pen and a pad or on a laptop at all. So I have to just like hammer something over and over and over again until it's a cohesive bit, and then hopefully try and make that make that into an actual chunk from 3 minutes to 5 minutes to 7 minutes, and you remember it. That's the worst part, because I don't film my sets. The
Right.
people who film their sets or record their sets, I don't know how you listen to yourself on stage. It seems,
It's
I don't want to say
embarrassing.
narcissistic. I don't think it's narcissistic, but it's just gross for me to like do an hour on stage and then get off stage and watch that hour. I hate it. So yeah, I can't write at
So,
all.
so humble, so humble.
Yeah. Well, I don't like my act. I think you talk to most comedians, they'll tell you like they don't.
Really?
Yeah, like I mean, I'm proud of my act, but my entire like the best sets I do are when I'm not telling a single joke that I have like prepared, where I
Okay.
can just
Right.
improvise and riff with the crowd. Those are my favorite sets, and it's the crowd's favorite sets because they can feel it's like a organic thing that's only happening once, you know?
Right. Very authentic. I watched one of your it's like I think one of the most popular videos of you on.
Is it the heckler video? Oh,
Yeah. I watched that one. That's funny as hell though. It was
thank you.
and the audience was laughing at literally everything you said. Everything you said back to her, people were just like screaming about it. That was funny. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
but
I
and
was so furious the whole time, so I'm
were
glad
you?
that I didn't come off like a monster. Yeah, she'd ruined 2 shows. That was the second show that she'd ruined that night. So
Dude.
yeah.
No, yeah, you didn't. No, you came off you're actually really nice.
Oh, thank you, Anna. I appreciate that.
It's really nice. You're just messing with her. Okay, so yeah, so then what? I don't know. I guess so. You said it's basically all improv, and your best jokes are done on stage. But is there one joke that you've done that like it was your favorite joke you've ever told, or like something that you just like look back on and you're like that was a good show, like that was a good joke.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can do 45 minutes of orthodox, arranged material if need be.
Right.
My favorite joke is the joke right now that literally no one who knows or loves me understands why it works, and neither do I. Or the joke is I got fired from my job at Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory for over enthusiasm. I loved the job too much. A secret shopper came in and said, "What should I buy?" And I said, "Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm a little fudge judge." And they fired me. And that joke, that is the beginning and end of the joke,
Got it.
always gets a laugh. And I don't know why. And my friends are upset that it works. And I really like the fact that it doesn't make sense to anyone involved why it works, but people like it.
You know why? It's just because it's just like and don't take this the wrong way.
Not at all.
It's just like a stupid joke. You know what I mean?
Incredibly stupid.
But those are the jokes that make people laugh so hard because everyone's like, I don't know why I'm finding humor in something that is just so simple and like so you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's hilarious. Those are the best kind of jokes. You don't want something that goes on forever.
No, not at all. And I do like the idea that people like you said, that if you don't know why you're laughing at something, it's a pure laugh.
Right,
And
exactly.
I like the pure laughs that you can create up there.
Exactly. Super pure. Super pure. So when you did start, well, actually, I guess I'll go back to the whole joke thing. What was do you remember the first joke you ever told on stage?
Yes, I do.
How'd that go?
It was at the Redfish Brewery in Boulder, Colorado in 2006 at the open mic. And how did it go? I had a very bad flannel shirt on. I was wearing only flannel shirts, and for some reason, swim trunks was the look, because I was like a real hardcore punk rocker back then, but I couldn't fit into leather, so I just dressed like some kind of beach bum. And
Right.
I walked on stage and I said, "Oh, there sure are a lot of beautiful women in here. I'm glad I wore my good flannel." That was the first thing I ever said into a microphone. And it worked. The first 3 sets I did were very successful. And I think it's because I might be 6'5" and 300 pounds. So there's just like there's a force of will to it. But yeah, I was good at stand up right away. Luckily, I'd been doing improv first. Now, if you ever were to watch any of those sets that I did in the first 2 years, I'd want to be as far away from you as possible, because it's so embarrassing what you do when you start stand up.
What like about it makes it so embarrassing? Is it just you're so nervous, so you're planning everything, or?
Well, I mean, that aspect for sure, it's very planned out, but also just the subject matter of a first year comedian when you're trying to get any kind of response from a crowd. It makes me cringe thinking about some of the jokes that I've done in the past. Before I was able to be silly and I was trying to be like, whether it was political or self-serious or God
Right.
forbid having a point of view that, I was trying to change people's minds or something. It's like, oh God, I didn't know shit. I was a kid. And just to think that I was talking to adults in like Wyoming about like, the right way to live their lives. It was like, oh God.
Right. It feels wrong in a way, but that's how you have to start out. You know what I mean? It's like everyone has their first experience doing it, and with anything, not just comedy, obviously. And
Oh, for sure. I mean, I envy the confidence of like, you're a young person and you're confident, and that's once you get past a certain point and you have all this confidence, people are like, why? But when you're young and you're like full of like hope and your eyes are wide, like that's such a pure confidence that I miss.
Right. You were excited about it at the time. It's weird to look back on it now, but you needed to be like that. It's got you where you are today.
I had to, because all you do when you start stand up is just lie to yourself that it's working out. There's so much self-denial in stand-up where you have to be like, I'm making the right decision. I'm going to be the best. And meanwhile, you're eating shit at 11:30 at a dive bar on East Colfax. You're not changing the world, but you feel like you have to tell yourself that.
Yeah, I mean, you do make an impact, but in that case, I guess now I'm kind of just wondering, have you ever been like, you said you were pretty successful starting out. Were you ever booed off stage, or had you ever experienced anything where you were like really not favored by the audience, or were you lucky enough, or just
Oh no, I've
funny
bombed,
enough?
of course. Yeah, everybody bombs. Anyone who says they didn't bomb is insane.
Bomb, right?
Yeah,
Bombing.
actually, the poor Jeff Albright, the bartender at the Comedy Fort, once posted online that he never bombed, and that was about 7 years ago. And that quote has followed him. Now, whenever he posts anything, it's like, Jeff, what do you know? You've never bombed. Anyway,
Right.
I think the one that hurt the most was there was a very bad comedy club in Westminster, Colorado called Wits End. I think they were the first club to ever headline me. And I headlined, they had a comedy contest, and this was like the finals of that contest. So all my friends were in the finals, and I was a little further along in my career, so I was headlining, and my friends went up and like killed. And then the thing about comedy contests is all your friends are there to see you, and like,
Right.
Kevin O'Brien, everyone loses their mind. And then once that portion of the show's over, they want to leave and hear that their friend has won or not won and move on with their night. But then they had a half hour of me at the end as they tabulated scores, which you don't need a half hour to do that. I just bombed, man. I just wore the leather. Nothing I could do worked.
No, you wore the swim trunks, not the leather.
I did. I think I was wearing pants at that point. I was either wearing overalls or pants. I went through an overalls phase, man. I've never been good at fashion.
It's all right.
Wore the swim trunks. That's hilarious, Anna.
Thank you.
So I get off stage, and I know it was bad, but my mom and dad were there, and my mom comes up to me, and she's laughing maniacally. She's like, "Oh my God, that was terrible. What the hell happened up there? They hated you." She just kept laughing and saying, "They hated you." Oh my God. She thought it was hilarious. And my dad was trying to be like nicer about it. And he's like, "Well, and she's like, "David, shut up. He was awful. They hated him." They're big fans of mine. So they'd seen me do all types of stand-up. But them just seeing me headline and eat it was brutal.
Yeah, but weirdly, like seeing your mom act in such like a, like she was just like, it's fine, you know what I mean? You're like, It's okay. Like no one liked it, but whatever. Like I feel like that type of reaction is honestly one of the better ones, because then you can kind of laugh at it too and not take it so seriously, right?
Oh, for sure. It's so much better than them being like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad," and you have to be like, "What are you talking about? It was a nightmare. This was the worst thing to happen to anyone."
Don't lie to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. But yeah.
And then, I mean, I've been in Wyoming. I've been in North Dakota. I've bombed. I mean, I performed in 48 states, but for some reason, my worst bombs ever are always in Gillette, Wyoming. I've never done well in Gillette, Wyoming, which is a shithole.
Well,
Wyoming, no one should ever do well there.
Yeah, what the hell? Wyoming people aren't funny.
No, they're not. And also in Gillette, it was like an oil town. So everyone there, it was Friday night, and everyone there had like $5,000 cash in their pocket because they got paid that day. And they wanted me to be nude. They wanted me to be a nude woman. And I wasn't. So I was scared. I was like, the violence. Yeah, exactly. It was really bad.
You want a naked lady?
Hmm.
Not some guy in overalls.
Yeah, not some guy that looks like that we work with, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
The oil guys. The
yeah.
oil guys. All right. So this is something that I actually think about a lot regarding comedians. So obviously I know a lot of comedians, the very or whatever. I'm curious to know how honest you are on stage with your jokes, and or like what does honesty in comedy kind of mean to you? Because I know some comedians tell the truth a lot and tell a lot of truthful stories, and some comedians don't, but for the sake of the joke, and it's hilarious no matter what. And some do a little bit of both. I'm curious kind of to know where you stand on it when you're kind of telling your jokes.
Well, I'll say that I've never told a truthful joke in the history of my life, and there's there's not one sincere bit. The only thing that I think I say in my act currently is that my wife proposed to me, and that's the only truthful thing that's
Right.
in my act. I think that stand-up comedy is incredibly hard, and especially if you want to be a very good stand-up comedian who makes people laugh a lot,
Right.
you should do whatever you have to up there to make them laugh, whether it be I don't think stand-up. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It cut out for just a second. Oh wait,
I
I
pulled
can't.
up.
Oh, okay. I think
Okay, now we're back.
I could hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, just the comics who like take themselves seriously and say that they're artists and they would never like, deign to tell a lie and they want to tell the truth up there, like they're probably not that funny typically.
Right.
And that's just me sounding like an old man. I think that I don't know. I've never understood the people who say you can't lie on stage. I think if it's a good joke, you just try and frame it in a way that sounds like you're telling the truth.
Well, yeah, comedy isn't about telling the truth. Comedy's
I don't
about
think
getting
so. I think comedy is about being very funny.
yeah, it's about getting people to laugh, right? So whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think people know that
So
as
yeah,
well.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think so. I hope so. For
Yeah,
sure.
I think I'm yeah, most people know that it's a lot of the stuff isn't true. It's just it's interesting for me to kind of see who's what jokes are authentic and what aren't. But that's cool. That's super dope. So that I guess that kind of makes sense when you were shoot, what was the joke that you were telling on I don't know. I'm blanking, but but it makes a bit more
That's
sense
okay.
now as I was watching some of your videos. I didn't know if all that stuff that you were saying was true, so that's cool. All right.
I mean, there'll be a kernel of truth in something
Right.
where all like there was an Uber driver who talked over the wrong shoulder and then I built this entire world around him, but it just came from him talking over the wrong shoulder for an instant, but
Right. It's like those
yeah, I've
movies.
never
It's like the based on a true story movies. It's like it was based on it, but right, like you got the inspiration
exactly.
from
Yeah.
something. All right, but how do you view your audience? Like, do you feel like, or do you treat your audience like they're fighting kind of against you, or are they a big part in shaping your comedy?
I used to view stand up much more as like a street fight where I wanted to win by any means necessary.
Okay.
And now, at the risk of sounding even more pretentious than I have throughout this entire interview, I want to look at them as like a scene partner. So like I want like if you're doing an improv scene, like I want to treat them like the straight man and I want to go to them and then I'll be funny and then return to them. I like to interact with the audience a lot.
Right.
Whereas in the past, like I was just trying to dominate them and make them leave there admitting that I'm the funniest person they've ever seen. Now I want it to be a lot more. I mean, I just come in as a jock, like I played sports and I want to be the best every time I get up there. But I
Competitive.
like the audience, and also a lot of some my friend Jay Whitecotton once told me, and he's like, I don't mean this as an insult, but it's going to sound shitty. Like, you care more about the audience than any other comic I've ever met. And it's like, yeah, because if they come out and have a night on the town, I want them to get every penny's worth. I want them to get their money's worth and have it be worth their night out, you know?
Right. I think that is not even an insult at all. I think you're doing your job, right? Like the whole point. I mean, obviously, being a comedian, there's a lot of, great benefits and it's fun, I think, right? Most of the time.
Oh,
And
very fun. Yeah.
yeah, it's a fun job, but also like you're doing it to make people laugh. And so and maybe selfishly you're doing it because you're like, oh, I want people to laugh at what I'm saying. But we all
Yeah.
do that. We all do that though. Like it's not just comedians, but but yeah, I mean, like the whole point is to kind of please the audience and please the people that you're talking to. So I don't that's not an insult at all. That's how
It is, but also like some comics don't care about being funny so much as they care about looking smart. And I've never cared about if people think that I was smart when they left, as opposed to them just like having their stomachs hurt from laughter.
that's interesting. Like I smart just because they're so witty. Like it's just like,
Yeah,
oh,
like they want everyone to know that they're like the smartest guy in the room, like, and that they're well read, and they use all these references that are pretentious and esoteric, and it's just like I you know I couldn't be more slap and tickle on stage. Like, I'm trying to do whatever I can to make people laugh as much as possible, and I don't really care. There's not, my ego isn't involved in if they think I'm smart. My ego's involved in if they think I'm super funny.
yeah, I mean, I think that's why you're so successful too. I think
Well,
I think
thank
that's
you.
why it truly, yeah. I mean, it's it's because you don't care as much about the way you're viewed, but you care more about the way you're more focused on the audience. You're more focused on, how good of a time they're having. I think that's probably more important. Um,
Thank you, Anna.
but tell me why, like, just to go back to it for a second, what about it insulted you? Did you just feel like you weren't being taken seriously?
No, I mean, he it wasn't an insult. He just prefaced it that way because we were at
Okay.
a comedy festival, and I was talking about, because like Jay's incredibly smart, and he's able to be political without being condescending or preachy. Like, we were just talking the differences of our act, and I was like, Jay, you that he did like a 15-minute thing that was like perfectly crafted and like well hewn, and you knew that he hammered it out for, it was like word by word by word, and I was like, man, that was great. And he's like, well, yeah, but when you made fun of that guy's hat, like, that was much funnier. And it's like, yeah, but it's just grass is greener conversations. And I
Right.
was like, man, I just wish that I had a bit of it in me where I could like write that way. And he's like, but yeah, but you don't. He's like, I don't really give a shit if the audience is laughing the whole time. Whereas Sam, you do give a shit if they're laughing. You care more about the audience than anyone at this festival. And I was like, well, thank you. And he's like, well, don't take that as an insult. And I'm like, I don't think you meant it as an insult, you know?
Right, right. It's totally not. I think, yeah, I think it's a bit flattering.
Yeah.
But obviously I wasn't the one getting the insult compliment.
No,
Um,
I'm with you. I didn't think it was mean.
yeah. Yeah, so I also read somewhere that you worked, I don't know, I'm assuming you don't, but you said you worked at the Comedy Works in Denver. Do you still do that?
Yeah, so that's my home club.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like, that's my, it's just all the most important things in my career have happened at Comedy Works.
You owe your life to the Comedy Works.
I mean, I think they owe me a certain bow of respect too.
You
But
guys
yeah,
helped.
I mean, Wendy, I love dearly, and all the comics Wendy's the owner, all the comics who've built that club, and all the staff who makes it the best club in the country. Like, uh, yeah, I owe them a tremendous debt of gratitude.
Awesome. And I read also that that's one of the three clubs. I don't know if this is still a thing that Dave Chappelle works at. Does he still work there?
Oh yeah, Chappelle works there. He'll just call Wendy on like Tuesday and say, "Hey, can I do a show tonight?" And then he'll sell out 14 shows over the
Right.
amount of time that he wants to be there.
Um,
And I think that he's more. I think he's like doing more clubs now, but for a while that was one of three clubs that he would still do.
that's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, I guess segueing into this, like I'm assuming you've met him, right? And I thought
Yeah.
you've seen him a good amount of times. So was he an idol for you, or like had you met any idols or mentors that had like really inspired you? And I guess I'm just kind of curious to know like what it was like for you in that sense.
Um, I mean, Chappelle Show was a huge deal to me when I was young because I'm 33. So Chappelle Show
Right.
came out like right when I was kind of like forming my idea of what funny is, you know?
Right.
So yeah, like he came, Josh Blue brought him to the show that I ran on Wednesdays in Denver, and he came and did that. And I've occupied the same space in a green room as him, but I can't say that, you know, I can't, I don't, we're not like friends or anything. He's been
Right.
very nice. I've been to the strip club with him where he takes the entire staff after the weekend and just hands everyone stacks of $100 bills while he DJs. Like,
Damn,
he's
that's fun.
incredibly generous and he's very nice to comedians.
Right.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of who like an idol of mine would have been. I've never met Norm Macdonald, who I think is the funniest comedian ever. But
Still
I don't
got
know.
time.
I was really lucky in the fact. I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh, I was just saying, you still have time. Still have time
Oh
to.
yeah, I know. Yeah. I was just lucky in like the fact that my heroes were like John Novosad and like Ben Roy and you know, comics that lived in Denver, you know,
Right.
like Josh Blue. I host his album recordings now every year, and Kyle Kinane takes me to feature for him, and he wrote the foreword of my book. Like,
I read that. You're one of his favorite comedians.
yeah.
That's crazy. How does that feel? Like, did that spark any inspiration for you?
Oh man. I mean, it just makes me feel really good. Kyle, he's always been super kind to me. And then he took me out to open for him. I think I've done like 4 weekends with him now. And the first time he was figuring out how to like he was building his hour. And we were in Lincoln, Nebraska the first night of the tour. And Lincoln's like a big market for me. I go there a lot. And when I came out, I absolutely destroyed in front of him, like crushed.
Oh,
And
dude.
when I got off stage, he was standing there and he's like, "Man, I didn't think about anything that I was about to do because you were so good." And then he went out there and he had a worse set than I did as the headliner. And he got off stage and I felt kind of bad. And I was like, "Man, do you want me to like tone it down or like, I'm sorry?" And he's like, "No, your job is to be here to make me look bad. So I have to be as good as you." He's like, "You're here to make me stronger." And I really, really respect that because a lot of comedians will make it and then they'll bring their friend who's not as good as them, or they'll bring like a weaker act so they look even stronger by comparison. And you know, Josh Blue doesn't do that. Kinane doesn't do that. Um, yeah, the fact that Kinane's been so nice to me and said so many nice things, like he might be the best comedian of my generation.
Yeah, what an
I
honor.
don't know anyone who's stronger than him. You know?
Yeah, what that must have felt amazing. I was
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier my brother to stand up. So I was talking to him about this interview and he was like, "Yeah, if Kyle Kinane, wrote the forward for my book, I would not stop talking about it for the rest of my life." Like yeah, so that's really incredible. I'm sure that must have felt really good.
And just how good he is and how hard he works on it and how much time he takes after shows to like talk to his fans. Like
Right.
every bit of his business model is organic, and I just, you know, he's the man.
Right. And
I love him and respect him, and I'm just a lot of gratitude for how he's treated me.
yeah, no, that's super dope. You guys both like really idolize each other and look up to each other in a lot of ways. And
Yeah, like I'm his friend, and that means more than anything. Like just
right.
knowing that I could, you know, I'll text Kyle mean things about his dog, and the fact that he responds just means so much to me.
That's how you know you guys are close.
Yeah,
When you
exactly.
could talk shit on each other's animals.
That's correct. Yeah.
Um, okay, so you basically lived in Colorado most of your life, right?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Elizabeth, and then I moved to Ithaca, New York for 2 years, around 2007 to 2009 ish. Um,
Because of comedy?
no, because my best friend went to school out there, and he was living on like a anarchist commune, and I didn't like college.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, so I didn't like college much. So I moved out there to live with him on the commune for 2 years, and we were in bands together growing up, and we made a band and we toured playing music for 7 years, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I moved back from there after I took too much acid and moved into a big punk house in Denver and lived there for 5 years, and then I met my wife.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a story. I mean, this has nothing to do with, comedy, I guess, but I'm a bit
Sure.
curious about the anarchist commune.
It
Um,
was cool. I mean, it was run by like a really old, horny guy named Bob Wolf Young too.
uh-oh.
His last name was Jung. Then the number two he had put on there somehow.
Well, he's like a cult leader. You're
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
gonna be a movie coming out about him, about how he like sexually harassed everyone in the cult.
He definitely did. Me and Clay shared a closet because it was like $50 a month to share this closet. And when
Ridiculous.
we told Bob, when we told him we were going to share the room, he was like, "Excellent. So how long have you guys been a partnership?" He
Uh-oh.
talked like this, and he always had his fingers beneath his chin, and yeah, he was just a horny guy. But we there was like a big slaughterhouse in the back, so we would practice in there all hours of the day in the woods in Ithaca, New York, and it was fun. It was a fun place to be a young person with no money. I remember people would sign their rent checks in blood. They would like write hypocrite on the memo line because it was supposed to be like an anarchist commune, but it's like
Yeah,
someone's supposed to
hey,
pay the bills.
yeah, that wasn't a commune. I think that was a cult.
Yeah, it was close to it. I mean, we killed chickens, made our own mead. Um, yeah, it was. I mean, I never really bought into
Right.
the
That's
politics
fun.
of it. It was a
No,
fun time.
it is. It is. You're living on your own. You're doing your own thing. It feels like, yeah, I don't know if you know what a kibbutz is or kibbutz.
Yeah,
It sounds like that, like what they have in Israel.
yeah.
You live off the land, have a good time.
You know what? I think that that's a lot. It's kibbutz, right?
Yeah, kibbutz, kibbutz.
Yeah,
I think if you're an Israeli, you're like kibbutz, but
yeah, exactly.
I think it's kibbutz for us.
He put some more phlegm in the throat.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, those are a lot more. I like that idea a lot more because it's more about just like living communally and like get
Right,
living off the land as opposed to like being mad at Starbucks or whatever the fuck the
right.
anarchy, the anti-capitalism that was going on in that house was like it wasn't ideal. I'll put it that way.
So what, are you still an anti-capitalist?
Yeah, for sure. I am. I mean, I just think that I don't know. I'm gonna sound like a utopian idealist, but yeah, I just think that like work is trading hours of your life to benefit someone higher up the ladder than you, and if you're not working for yourself or like helping other people, then it kind of sucks. I know a lot of people have to work and stuff, and I
Right.
work very hard at what I do, but I worked really hard to not have a boss. Was why I tried so hard to be a comedian because I just hated it so much. But yeah, I do think that capitalism is not the best system for sure.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm making you talk politics right now, but
No, Anna, it's totally fine. I'd love to know that people it's good for me to remember that I do care about stuff.
right.
Yeah.
You have the horny cult leader to thank for that one.
No, no, yeah, I thank God for Bob Wolf.
Thank God for Bob Wolf.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, the reason I was asking you about Colorado was and where you were living and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, and I lived in Vegas for 2 years
All
during
right.
the beginning of my wife's medical school terms.
Okay, yeah. So Vegas, a little bit in New York, but not for comedy. I'm kind of curious why Colorado, in the sense of just like, because the comedy scene isn't super, I mean, it's there's like the comedy scene isn't that small, but I wouldn't consider it that large, right? Compared to like LA or New York or Chicago. Um,
Well,
I
I'll
don't know.
agree with you on LA or New York. I think that pound for pound, we have a better comedy scene than Chicago.
All right.
I think that if you're going to learn how to do stand-up comedy, Denver's the best city in America where you can learn how to be a comedian. I know that people from Boston and Austin, Texas, and Chicago, and I do love Chicago. I think Chicago might be my favorite comedy city, but just like the amount of talent that we've produced that's gone on to do really good things and become very good at comedy. I think it's comparable to any other scene, Seattle, Portland, Minneapolis. Yeah, I don't know. You could get when I started stand up, there was like 3 open mics and you had the Comedy Works, which was something to aspire to. But, 4 years after that, due to the strength of will of like the Grolics and other like-minded people like myself, you could do an open mic at least once a night. And now, before COVID, you could do 2 open mics a night every night of the week.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it's because we had such great leadership in Denver, and it was very community minded. And you had the club, like I said, and the comics who stayed in town to head. You had great headliners coming through that you could see, and then you had the old guard who headlined the club, and you got to learn from great people. So
Right.
I just think that Denver's like, and I think that Denver has a great reputation for being a great place to do the first 5 years of your stand-up career.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
learning in LA or New York is a nightmare. Like going to open mics in LA and New York, those people, it's I know a lot of people who've done that, and they're tough, I guess.
right. And I bet you the sets are so much shorter too. And
Yeah.
you don't get enough, a lot of time up there. So,
Yeah, and
and
there's no camaraderie. The camaraderie of Colorado was what made it for me, like I just love all my friends. And I'm also very partial, so take all this with a grain of salt.
yeah, that's true. But it seems like the Comedy Works was like a really, really, really big factor in all this for you. It seems like
It was, but
it
so
was
was like Adam Caton Holland's show
right,
at the Orange Cat Lounge, like, the Boulder Comedy Show. There's just so many great shows where you can get really good stage time.
right.
But yeah, Comedy Works is always that beating heart of Denver comedy.
That's awesome. You always want to come back to it.
Yeah, I miss it. I miss it very much.
It's like your home. Um, so, but yeah, so you said you've been to 49 or 48 states, right?
I've been to 49. I've
Performed?
performed in 48. I haven't performed in Alaska or Delaware.
Delaware? I don't think Delaware exists.
Sister, I was just on the East Coast, and I had that conversation with a lot of people. I was like, "What the fuck's up with Delaware?"
Never met anyone from there. It's probably not real.
Well,
Um,
when you do meet someone from Delaware, they're like so excited to talk about Delaware, and it's like, why? What happens there? Anyway, I'm with you. I agree.
what happened there? Um, I know, whatever. Well, when you do end up doing a show there, let me know. Let me know if it. Then we'll know for sure if it exists.
I
So,
will. I mean, I've set foot in Delaware, but it was just on the turnpike, so it might be just an extension of New Jersey until you
right,
get to Pennsylvania. Who knows?
right, whatever. But yeah, what's it like being on the road? Do you like it? Like, you mentioned you had a wife? Does she join you? Um, yeah,
I love the road. I think it's a really romantic way to spend time, just going to different cities and exploring different cities and eating different food and meeting other comedians and performing. Like, I think it's great. I love the road. The road's
right,
not that healthy. The food and the booze, if you drink, the late night hours. It's not like a good
right,
way to live a long time. So that's one thing that scares me the older I get, because I've been on the road for so long. I do love it still, but I am also like really happily married, and it's nice to be home and sleeping in your very nice Casper mattress with the love of your life and your dog. Like, it's
right.
it's tough. My wife will join me very rarely. Like, she went into this Key West weekend because I booked it based on her time off work, but it's
Okay.
not. She's been on the road a couple times with me, but nothing. It's not the norm. I'll put it that way.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, it sounds like a fun life, but it makes sense. It could be very unhealthy, I'm sure.
Well,
A
yeah,
lot of
because like you'll go to Chattanooga one weekend, and all your friends who live in Chattanooga will be there, and they want to party and have a good time with you, and then
right, right. You're just getting fucked up basically every night, having a good time. I mean, I shouldn't say every night, but when you're touring and stuff and you're meeting new
no, you're close. It's every night typically.
people, basically every night.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. So yeah, so I guess you said your wife comes out every once in a while, not too often, but how does she fit into your career? I know I heard a couple jokes about her. I heard the joke about her proposing first, but
Yeah.
yeah, so how does she kind of fit into all of it?
I don't know. That's a great question. Because like when we met, stand up, I think is always the comedian's first love. So it's like when you're married to a comic, like they have a mistress and it's stand up comedy, that they also
Right.
have to serve. But my wife, I think, is the top priority in my life. I've worked very hard to make her like, you know, be the ultimate decision making factor in most things I do.
That's
But
sweet.
luckily, she was in med school for 4 years, which she, I think the best thing that you can have if you're a driven person in any career is to be with a partner that's also very driven, so that they don't depend on you to be their life, and you don't depend on them to be your life. You have these things that you care a lot about and you're working very hard at, and then you get to come home at night and be with someone that you are, someone you admire and someone you respect and someone that like really makes you proud to be their number one. Because in the past, when I was with women who like didn't have as much going on as my wife, on the weekends they expect you to be home, and it's like, well, I'm sorry, I have to go to Cincinnati because of my job. And they're like, well, you're never home. And it's like, yeah, but maybe you could get a hobby,
Right,
or
right.
do something that like really something you were willing to sacrifice for. So yeah, just the fact that my wife is like so powerful and like overachieving, I think makes it easier for me to be married to her.
Right. You guys both have your own kind of crafts that you're very passionate about. And I agree. I think you need to have that, especially like for you, when you're kind of an artist or a comedian or whatever, like you need to like that. A lot of your life is devoted to that, and the hours are weird. And yeah, you could be traveling a lot. So it's nice that you have someone and that she has you. It's nice that you guys both have each other to kind of understand that even though you guys are each other's like main priorities, you still have your own independent lives and you need to prioritize that as well. So
Yeah, I think you summed it up very nice. And also, like, luckily, when she met me, I was already a working comedian.
right.
I feel bad for the people who've been together for 3 years and then, you know, one of them wants to become a comic, and all of a sudden they're doing this thing that's like the most exciting thing they've ever done. And their partner's like, well, why are you out every night until 1 a.m.? And like, who are
Right.
these new scumbags that you're friends with? It's so much easier if you're already in your given field, so people know what they're up against when they get with you.
Right, right, right. Well, hey, I'm glad that it worked out for you guys. I know there's probably a lot of sad, love stories where people have to go their separate ways. There's a song by Lil Dicky. It's called Molly, and
Yeah,
he have you heard it?
I have heard it. Yeah.
And that's what he's talking about. He's like, I don't know, I can't, whatever. I can't be with this girl because I'm doing my music and whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
it's tough, man.
yeah, it's tough. Um, Happy 1 year of your book being published. It's today.
Is that true?
Yes. I knew before you did.
Oh
Uh,
my God. That's great. Thank you, Anna.
yeah, of course. I was doing a bit of research and it said published on February 26th of 2020, and I was like, oh, that's like right around this time. And then I realized we were doing the interview on the year anniversary of that. So
Oh, wow. That's
congrats.
strange. Thank you.
I know, right? Congratulations, by the way. Um, I'm curious to know what you learned from, that was the first book you ever got published, right? You're in the
Yeah,
process of writing another one right now.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, but so for your first book, what did you learn from writing it? Was it pretty introspective, or I know
I think, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say it's about a is he mentally unstable, the main character of the book, or he's just a bit depressed, or
No, he's just an addict. He's just a
he's an
booze
addict?
addict and a cocaine addict, and he's been on the road too long, so he doesn't know how to fit in society anymore, pretty much.
Right. Is
Um,
that reflective of like something that had happened in your life, or is it?
no, it's pretty much just the guy I fear turning into, which is why it
Got
was
it.
easy to write, because you just think about, oh God, what's this going to look like if it stays this way when you're 55? I think the main thing I learned is that I can write a book. Because before you write a book, you're not sure if you can actually do it, and then somehow I did it, and people liked it, and it seemed like a cohesive bit of work, and I think that was the main. I know that sounds stupid, but that's like the main thing I learned, was that I could actually do this thing that I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, no, that's super awesome. And yeah, a lot of people liked it. It was a New York Times bestseller.
No, the New York Times has never touched it. But I mean,
It was a
technically, if they were to include self-published books, my book would have been a bestseller for sure, because most novels don't sell more than 3,000 copies, and I'm, with the sales I make at my house and with the sales with Amazon, I'm close to 12,000. So it definitely would have been a bestseller if they would just meet me on my level.
you're a bestseller in your own mind, and
Thank you.
you can be a bestseller.
Yeah, for sure. The next one will be on that goddamn list.
Yeah, exactly. Can only keep going up. Okay, but another awesome thing was that in 2019 you performed at the Laughs Montreal Comedy Festival. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
That's
That,
amazing.
it was a really big deal. I'd been auditioning for 6 years, and that's the biggest festival in comedy. So I was finally
Right.
glad to finally get it.
Damn. And that was okay, so that wasn't too long ago. That was in 2019. So you must have done really well at that time. I'm just wondering if like that's someone whose momentum has been crushed like by the pandemic, right? I mean, I wouldn't, and maybe not crushed, but it's kind of was halted a bit. So I just want to know, how did you kind of maintain your comedic rhythm? I know you have a podcast. I don't know if
Right.
that was that kind of something that you kind of um, were more into during the pandemic to kind of continue that like rhythm, that comedic rhythm.
No, I mean, I was so lucky that I had the book, because I published the book, like you said, on this day, but I
Right.
didn't release it till May 2nd, my birthday. So, like, after all the gigs were closed in March, I was just able to focus on publicizing the book. And then the book came out, and I was able to do a bunch of interviews like this and podcasts about the book. And, I'm packaging the book in my own house. You can buy it off samtallent.com. So I was just very focused on the book. And I don't know. I mean, I definitely worry about my chops not being as good as they once were, but at the same time, like, it was really nice just to be home and like be a married man who slept in the same bed and had a sleep schedule and could, like, be healthy,
Right.
as opposed to being gone every weekend. So
Right.
I don't know. It was kind of a welcome reprieve, honestly.
Totally. And it gave you that time to write this book that you're obviously super proud of. So
Yeah.
um yeah, it seemed like it wasn't too rough for you.
I think I might, as far as comedians are concerned, I might have had one of the best. I mean, I made the most money I ever made during
Yeah.
pandemic, which
Fuck
is
yeah.
insane. Yeah.
Hey, maybe you should be an author or writer.
I mean, I am.
I mean, you are.
Yeah,
You are.
but I think I'm gonna. No, I think I'm making that move. I mean, I'm still gonna do stand up, but I think I'm in Yale's having me on to do a couple classes in April. Like, so many
Wow.
crazy things have come out of this book. So
Damn.
yeah.
You're a professional. You're a
Thank you.
that's cool. Congratulations though about the book again.
Thank you.
Um, so yeah, so you've been in the comedy scene since 2006, right?
Yeah.
Officially, right? Something like
Sure.
that.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's been what, like 15 years
I think
about?
so.
Um, how has the comedy scene kind of evolved since you first joined? Is
It got a lot more in like niche. Comedy
okay,
got so big that it's like boutique now, where like people can find, there's so many comics that you can find your favorite comic who I might not have, I've never heard of this comic, but they probably have, 100,000 Instagram followers and have like a nice podcast or YouTube series. And there's just, everyone can find the exact kind of comedy that they like. And for better or for worse, like that's where stand up is now,
right.
because like when I was first starting out, like the only comedy podcast, there was like 3 comedy podcasts, and now every comedian has a podcast, and Instagram wasn't around and YouTube wasn't as dominant. So now, like, it's just the internet changed everything, which is good. I think it's very good that happened.
Yeah,
And I don't think agents or managers are as important, and you're able to just kind of like crowdsource your following and make a decent following and tour on the back of that, or generate content specifically for those people. So I think it's a lot more, utilitarian.
yeah, totally, definitely. Um, so, so yeah, I guess it's a bit. Do you feel like it's a bit easier nowadays to kind of get a start in comedy because of the fact that we have social media and You know, we're a bit more self-made in that sense. We don't need, like you said, you don't need managers or agents or as much.
Yeah, I definitely think that. I mean, I think if you're going to be a stand-up comedian performing on stage, that'll always be difficult to learn how to do that skill. But I think that you can leapfrog a lot of the things that we were worried about when I was starting stand-up, and just start building your following. And yeah, I think it's easier. I don't know if you have to be as funny as you did when I was starting stand-up to become a comedian.
Right.
But I'm an old haggard man now. I've been doing comedy so long that I just sound like I was working in an oil field or something when I talk about how comedy was back then. But
Back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah, exactly.
Back in
Whenever I
the
get these conversations, I just sound like I'm talking about walking 6 miles uphill in the snow to school.
I know, but it is interesting to see how much comedy kind of has changed, like what people find funny nowadays versus like what was funny, 15 or 20 years ago.
Yeah,
It's changed a lot,
for sure.
but you know what hasn't changed? Farting is always funny.
Correct. Yeah, it'll always be
That's,
funny.
that's always funny, no matter how old, no matter what generation you're from.
Yeah, the classics are classics for a reason.
The
For
classics,
sure.
the classics are classics for a reason, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, all right, I only have a couple more questions left for you, but
Okay.
yeah, I guess it's a bit lighter. I want to know if there was one kind of joke that you personally wish that you came up with. Like it was somebody else's joke, but if you could live in a world where you came up with it, what would it be? I guess I'm basically asking what your favorite joke is that somebody else has told that you were like, damn, I wish that was me who came up with it.
Damn, that's a really good question. Uh, yeah, there's a million of them. Uh, fuck. It's I can't. I'm trying to think. My friend Andrew Polk out of New Orleans has so many great jokes that he tells, and I'm just furious. I haven't seen his act in a minute, but yeah, I mean, I can't give you a specific example off the top of my head, but
Right.
there's a lot of jokes that I'm very envious of that I wish that I could do. And they're typically one-liners because I love how succinct they are and that you can do a million of them in an act.
Right.
Uh, I'm sorry, I'm letting you down, Ian. I can't think
No,
of one specific example.
you're not. You're not. I feel like I've let you down.
No, you're excellent. You're doing a great job. A lot of these
Dang.
interviews are shit, and this is a lot of fun.
I was
Um,
nervous. My first professional interview.
oh, you're crushing it. Yeah, congrats on the byline. I'm happy about that. Just you know what? Look at Andrew Polk. He's very funny. Oh, Chris Charpentier does a lot of like great characters, like
All
one-liner
right.
characters that make me pissed that I didn't think of them because they're so stupid. It's usually a joke that's like so dumb that if I had, I know that I could milk it and make it longer.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You look at them and you're like, okay, that was good, but I can make it even better.
Yeah, it's like I would tag it. Like, why'd you just stop there?
Right.
Jordan Dahl has a bunch of really hilarious jokes about like cactuses looking like ZZ Top. I can't. I'm letting you down, but
You're
there's a lot of
not.
people
You're
who I
not.
watch, and I'm like, damn, that's really good.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's fun. That's how I always felt growing up. My brother was the funny one. So
Oh yeah,
so I was always like, damn it, like I wish I came up with that one. I wish mom laughed at my joke about that.
sure. Yeah, I get that. I've done it
Um,
with my wife and my sister.
are they all funny? You came from a
Yeah, of
funny.
course, they're hilarious.
I know. You have to be around funny people or else it's boring.
Correct.
It's
I'm with
boring.
you on that.
All right. So you kind of jumped right into comedy and were pretty confident in it from the get-go. Yeah. Like you were like, I could do this. Did you have a fallback career at all? Or were you like, this is what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to make it. This is how it's going to go. Is that basically what it was?
I didn't ever think I knew I was going to make it, but I had enough like natural talent for it that people around me were telling me I was funny, and they were like more further along in their careers. So, but
Okay.
no, I never had a fallback plan for anything. I probably would have wound up a teacher or something if I wasn't able to do this.
You would have been a funny teacher.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to just be an English teacher and talk to kids about their favorite books and stuff. That's why the Yale thing's cool because hopefully, maybe further down the line after the next book, I can become like an adjunct professor somewhere and do a couple
Yeah.
months here and a couple months there. Because I really love literature. I love, the American novel from like 1920 onward, and the Russian guys and some of the French people too. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be fun to do something just besides stand up.
Yeah, and obviously you totally can. The world is your oyster, and you have a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, I'm lucky in that way.
It's a
I'm good at pivoting.
yeah, exactly. It was a cliche, but you know what I mean. Like you have a lot of cool opportunities, ahead of you, especially with that whole Yale thing, and you're gonna continue writing books, and yeah, I'm sure you got it.
Thank you, man. I
You
appreciate
you don't
that.
need my support, but you got it.
Well, it's nice to hear that from the younger generation.
Yeah, I don't know. What generation are you? Are you a millennial?
I'm
Gen
33. I mean, you could be 35 for all I know. I don't want to sound condescending. I just assume that you're younger.
No, no, no. You weren't condescending at all. I told you. I told you
Okay.
at the beginning. I'm like
Sophomore,
19.
right?
I'm 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe you're on a different path. Maybe you were a bullfighter for 6 years and now you're in college.
You're
You
right.
never
You're
know.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
Sophomores you could be a sophomore at any age. That's
Correct. Yeah.
You're right. We don't judge.
I mean, we do, but we'll never tell anyone that.
Yeah, maybe internally, but
Yeah, for
we're
sure.
not gonna say it to their faces. All right. All right. I think I have one more question for you.
Okay.
And I just want to know, what is something that you wish you could have told your younger self when you were starting out? Like, was there any moment that I mean, it sounds like you had the best experience in comedy, or I don't know. It seems like you were so successful from the get-go, but I don't know, maybe not. Like, was there ever something where you were really, or a time where you were really doubting yourself? And
Well, there was years of going on 2-week road trips and driving 6 hours every day between cities to go perform at a show in an improv theater or the back of a bar where there was 12 people there, and not having a place to stay, so literally asking from the stage if you could sleep on someone's floor or sleeping in your car,
oh
and
wow.
passing a hat at the end of the show to make $45. There were so many times I would go out for 2 weeks and come back with $300. You know what I mean? Like, so I would just say to a younger person, like, if you really, really want to do something, do it as hard as you can, and also just be okay with being uncomfortable. I think a lot of people don't really like try and do the things they want to do because they still want to have a Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon subscription. They like sleeping in an apartment and having a fixed address, and being able to eat DoorDash, like, 3 times a day. Like, we dumpstered food when I lived in Ithaca. you know
Damn.
I
Yeah.
used to dig cigarettes, the butts out of ashtrays, and I literally would carry around a bag of stinky cigarette butts that I would roll into cigarettes. Like, it was just like the stuff that I did in order to make sure I never had to have a job so I could do stand up as much as I needed to, also meant that I had like $25 a week a lot of the time. So just like the creature comforts end up being individual prison bars that kind of keep you trapped into this lifestyle. So if you want to do something, like, do it when you're young and you're healthy and you don't have any responsibilities, and don't let like the idea that all the stuff that you become accustomed to, like, you can watch like TV, and that's cool, but also you can just like go to a park when you have hours to kill in Memphis and read a book that you got at the library. Like,
Right.
it's just like there's a lot of romance in being afraid, and like you have to be really really keen and cutting and figure out ways to monetize the thing you're doing if you don't have anything to fall back on.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said is really inspiring. Like, you need to be brave, like, genuinely. I mean, I mean, I guess your whole life, like, you've had to basically, with your whole career, you've had to be really brave and, I guess, courageous, and like,
Well,
I don't know.
that's really kind. I don't know if brave is the term. I think I just I had a very high threshold for being uncomfortable, I think,
Yeah,
is a better way to put it.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I don't know. You put yourself in a lot of uncomfortable situations, from what it
Oh
sounded,
yeah.
but clearly there was something that was more important than the way that you were feeling at the time, right? And
I
that was
just always felt like it was more important to not have to be at a job for 8 hours a day than it was to have money. And for when my friends from high school were buying houses at, 23, 24 and having kids, like I never was envious of them, because I swam in so many lakes and rivers and both oceans and been across the country and met
Right.
so many great people that, like, the romanticism of a life where you're only serving yourself, it's not selfish. If it's just it's kind of beautiful, and I'm grateful for experiencing like that kind of beauty and stuff.
Yeah, it's your path. You should do, what you feel like is, the most fun for you. I think that, I mean, in my opinion, it's like have fun with your life, right?
Yeah, I do
Try
too.
try to have as much fun as you possibly can, and
And just laugh as much as possible.
laugh.
Drink cheap wine with really good people. uh it's just fun to try and figure out what the next day holds, not having to be somewhere.
Right.
It's very freeing.
Yeah, you're not a routine guy.
No, no, I wish I'd be so much better if I had a routine in my life.
I
I
don't know.
mean,
I don't know. You've gotten pretty far, and you've done pretty well. Maybe this is what works for you. You never
it
know.
is, yeah. Yeah, well, thank you. I just wish I had a bit more discipline when it came to like making a plan for the day, because it's so easy for me just to like read, just sit
Yeah.
down and
Hey, at
read.
least at least you're reading, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's true.
At least you're not like on TikTok or some shit. You know what
Oh God. And if you ever see me on TikTok, call the police.
I mean? I will. I definitely will.
Good, thank you.
But yeah, basically that was it. That's the end of the interview.
Great interview. Good stuff. Real good
Thank
questions.
thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for being so cool during this whole thing, and like being cool with letting this 19-year-old amateur interview someone
You know
so.
how much better it is to talk to a young person doing an interview than like a 42-year-old that fucking writes for Slate or Vulture. Like they think they know everything already. You ask great questions because you haven't done a bunch of these yet.
Yeah,
You know
so
what I mean?
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was telling my parents about this. I was like, I'm so nervous. I'm like, he's so well known. And my dad's like, tell him you've done this so many times before. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why would I do that? I'm like, no,
Isn't that just how dads sound though?
yeah, exactly. That's how he sounds. I'm just gonna do the interview. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, he doesn't give a fuck. I'm sure he doesn't care. And then I was like, oh my god, I emailed you so unprofessionally. I was like, hey Sam, like,
No, you were fine. You didn't do anything wrong, I think. And tell your parents you nailed it.
no, I didn't feel as bad about the unprofessional email because your response had a lot of typos in it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I was
I
like,
responded. I was like drunk on the beach,
yeah, I was like, all right, this guy's cool. This guy's cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, he doesn't care. He doesn't
Yeah.
care. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Of
Seriously.
course, Anna, if you need anything else, let me know. I'm at the club. If you can put in that I'm at the Fort Collins Comedy Club or the Fort Comedy, I think the 12th and 13th. It's the second weekend in March. That's when I'm there.
I'm gonna try to come out.
Come out, say hi.
I know it sucks though because I'm not 21, so I'm gonna go to a show this week or next weekend, and they're gonna give me like a wristband to be like, oh, she's underage.
Yeah.
But
Well, if you have problems, just let me know. I'll get you on the guest list. David, the owner, is a good friend of mine. So
oh, that's so sweet, Sam. Thank you
yeah.
so much.
So
I
you can
was
just put
really
in March 12th and 13th, and also buy my book at samtallent.com. That would be great.
yeah, totally. I will buy your book. I personally.
Okay, well, if you want to, you're more than welcome. I'll hand deliver it if you're in Fort Collins. But yeah, just
Sam,
those two cheap plugs. That's what I need in there.
100%, of course. I will definitely put that in there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. Have a lovely day. All right.
You too. I might have some follow-up questions, but
Sure.
we can just answer those through email if that's easiest for you.
Whatever you need, I'm here.
So, yeah, I don't even know if I'll have them, but as I start writing this thing, we'll see where it goes.
Well, I blathered on for a long time, so there's probably a lot in there.
I know. I was gonna say, you know what? We had a long conversation about a lot of different things. I think I'll find a lot of quality, stuff about. I'm definitely gonna put in that Q&A or my article about the horny cult leader.
Yeah. Definitively horny. That was his thing.
Right. I think that might be the most important or the most significant part of the whole interview.
I think so, yeah. And he didn't care. He had no gender assigned. He didn't care. Just whoever was down, Bob Wolf was there for you.
Wow. I guess maybe we all need a Bob Wolf in our lives.
Oh God.
A little bit of Bob Wolf.
Maybe. Anna, good work. Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good
of course. You too.
one. All right. Bye.